I'll be honest, I've actually never gotten around to playing Pressure. This actually makes this the first time I've ever played it. Now, I've heard a lot about the game, both the good and bad, that it was similar to Doors, and in some aspects, even better than it. But that alone wasn't really enough for me to get to play it, until I saw a new update for the game. A new game mode that features zombies. There wasn't anything else to play, so I figured, why not? I'll try it out. It genuinely surprised me how well made this was. The visuals are well thought out, the game runs smoothly most of the time, and although the gameplay itself is very similar to what other zombie shooters have to offer, it still feels unique. Plenty of zombie shooters on this platform will have you mindlessly kill a constant crowd of zombies. There's nothing special, it's just you staying out of reach and shooting from a distance. Of course, that's not to say you can't do that in this game, but other games can often feel forgettable because there's really only one way to win, and it's to stay far away and shoot. But here the game actively tries to challenge you and forces you to adapt. Not just with the variety of zombies, each with their own abilities, but also with their AI and pathfinding. You'll have your moments where you control the pace of the game, but then out of nowhere it's like a switch that flips, and now it's you who has to react to what the zombies are doing. Sure, at the beginning it starts off slow, but when it gets going, it feels like you're in an action movie. You'll face off against your basic slow-walking zombie, but you'll also go up against zombies with shields. Zombies that can completely stun someone when they attack you. Some just straight up blow up. Zombies with a turret for a head. Zombies that leap at you only to run away for another attempt. And there's even zombie ghost-like entities that completely dampen your senses. Each has their own weaknesses that can be exploited, and when combined, they all complement each other and create chemistry. Depending on the zombies in front of you, the way you approach the fight is going to be different. A bulwark isn't immediately a threat. It's slow moving, and its attack can be easily dodged, but having it in front of a marksman creates the perfect long-range threat. A scuttler can easily be dodged if you spot it in time, but because they're able to leap, they can lock onto you behind a wall of zombies and catch you completely off guard, and will run back into the crowd to attack again. You'll often be surrounded by enemies and have to rely on audio to tell who's about to attack, and having a pariah show up will absolutely put you in danger. The zombies will spawn around these green clusters that are scattered around the map, where you'll have to fully clear out the area before moving on. Your average zombie shooter will have you equip yourself with many weapons, shotguns, rifles, pistols, and this is the standard for any shooter really. In stark contrast, this game gives you a shotgun and a shotgun only that can fire 8 shells before having to reload. This of course forces you to get close to the zombies, and naturally you won't get accurate shots if you shoot from afar. Because of the sheer amount of zombies constantly attacking you and the amount of shells ready to fire, coupled with the slow reload, you need to not just carefully choose who you shoot, but when you shoot. Not having enough shells to shoot can easily get you killed, and oftentimes you'll be dangerously low on available shots when you need them the most. That's because timing is such a crucial component. Sometimes it's better to hold up on shooting what's in front of you because of what might be lurking nearby, but not shooting can lead to a buildup of enemies that you won't be able to handle. When is it better to shoot the enemies that have the most health? What about the enemies that are quicker? Will you have enough bullets to clear enough space away? Or will a zombie with insane damage get you while you're trying to reload? Each situation you find yourself in leads to you having to carefully handle the space around you. You also have a melee that can temporarily stun enemies. Sprint mixed in with your shotgun and melee, you're able to create space for yourself to reload, heal up, or simply pace the enemies around you. The only thing that stops you is your stamina bar. Here the game is pretty generous with how much damage you're able to take. Sure, there's plenty of enemies that do tons of damage, but when you make a mistake, it's not the end of the world. You're able to quickly react and move on. Of course, there's nothing stopping you from just picking off the enemies one by one from afar, even if it's not the most efficient, right? Well, the main reason why you're able to maneuver so well is because you have to venture deep into enemy territory. You'll have to clear out 4 levels in total, or quadrants as they are called, each with a certain amount of zombies. and while you're able to get past the first level just fine using this strategy, after that you won't actually have enough bullets to kill the zombies. That's because the game intends for you to go around the map and find ammunition. They can be found in shelves, boxes, and inside of lockers. If you don't choose to fight off the zombies to find ammunition, you'll just run out of ammo and die. You're forced to fight through the horde and have to make split-second decisions on how to get yourself out of a bad corner. The map design is straightforward for the most part. It mainly consists of different rooms that have the chance of having lockers or shelves to search for ammo, and it's never too small to move in. The cool part is that it's all randomly generated, so it's not like you can memorize where everything is for another playthrough. The further you go, the closer you get to the ending, the more ramped up all of these aspects get, and put everything you've learned to the test. I'm not too familiar as to what the story of Pressure is, but I'm always appreciative of games on Roblox that try to weave a narrative within the game. Not only do you have the world that the game takes place in, but also how the narrative develops as you continue to play the game. You play as a guardsman from Urban Shade who's been sent to clear out a rotten coral infestation at the bottom of the Hadal Black Site's lower quarry after the successful retrieval of Z2 with the expendable protocol. The goal is to reach the heart of the infestation and burn it. You'll begin the game with being greeted by someone over the intercom. They'll basically tell you what I just said with the added detail that the zombies that have taken over the place are something called Z-863, also known as Revenants, who also happen to be the employees of the Black Site. You're instructed to kill them as they'll later be revived. Again, I'm not sure just how much of this you're already supposed to know from the main game, but it all sounds so cool. Because it mentions a coral infestation, it probably means we're near a body of water, but it's also a quarry, which also shows that maybe the facility was built underwater, or it could be as simple as a flooded quarry, because that actually happens in real life. You can already infer that Urban Shade sounds like a powerful organization. Not only do they have the military might to be able to send teams to handle a situation like this, but to have also created the Black Site you're trying to retake in the first place. It at the very least indicates some level of deep government ties. They apparently also have the ability to revive people even after someone has been taken over by the outbreak and killed afterwards. It's such a great setting, and it gives you enough context to know what's happening, and I love that the game isn't afraid to have it all front and center. It all feels SCP coded, if you know what that is. And from the game description, it even says it was inspired by SCP Containment Breach. The intercom guy continues to tell you that the colony has set up beneath the Skull Pulse laser drill, and that first we'll need to clear out all revenants before destroying the heart of the colony. Otherwise, it could lead to a repeat of the incident, whatever that means. That's all he really has to say before you go into a lift and go further into the Black Site quarry. You'll reach a bulkhead that opens when you're nearby, and just like that, the game begins. It's here I want to mention just how beautiful this game looks. Even with the simplicity of the art style, it accomplishes so much. The area around you initially looks clean and well polished, but when you encounter the Revenants for the first time, it's a total tone shift. The room is dark, with the only light to be seen is the bioluminescence coming from the Revenants themselves, as well as the fauna on the green substances growing on the walls and floors. Giant mounds of this infestation build up, fusing with the infrastructure. Pillars of mass can be found in rooms that take up the majority of the space. The rooms aren't entirely 100% taken over either, creating a juxtaposition that highlights the disgusting progress of the coral infestation. The models of the Revenants reflect just how bad the situation became. A lot of the Revenants are still wearing their clothing, and looks like what a researcher or a scientist would wear. Some of them are wearing what looks like a prison jumpsuit, or maybe like a military getup. As you go through the level, you'll notice that basically every room is separated with a bulkhead, and not every bulkhead is able to be opened. In fact, they appear to be locked. So what probably happened was the outbreak started, and everybody was like, oh no, we gotta evacuate. And then they try to escape and the doors just lock. And then of course everybody just ended up dying, all for the sake of containing the coral infection. But I mean, it's fine, they'll get revived anyways. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, it would be kind of crazy if the intercom guy lied to make our guy that we play as feel better about killing their co-workers. Anyways, after you kill all of the revenants, you move on to the next quadrant.
You have entered the airlock. Please remain approximately 5 steps away from the bulkhead to prevent injury and or death.
After sealing the airlock, the next quadrant opens.
The infested had enough time to alert the rest of the colony of your presence. So from here on out, hostiles will become increasingly more aggressive and numerous. Power in the quadrants ahead is unstable as the grove start interfering with the backup grid. Stay alert.
The levels will play out the same from here on out. Your only goal is to eliminate the revenants while gathering enough ammunition. As you progress through the quadrants, not only is the amount of revenants going to increase, but also the number of special revenants like mentioned before. The designs of the revenants are so well done. Not only do they stand out from the regular revenants, but they all are telling of how the coral learned to evolve. I don't think it's mentioned anywhere that the coral infestation is like a zombie virus where you get infected and you don't really work together with the other infected, but the designs do support that the coral operates more like a hive mind. It probably had trouble getting past turrets around the facility, so it started learning to take bulkheads apart and use them as shields. Then it started using the turrets as weapons to fight back in more long-range conflicts. It then developed the rook for more muscle and strength, abscesses so it could break past fortified positions. Then the coral started to become smarter as a whole by considering more adept strategies like hit and run tactics, and eventually some of the coral began individually growing into smarter beings, like the pariah. And I think that letting the player come up with theories even if they aren't correct is neat. Either way, nothing really special happens in the second quadrant. You kill all the revenants and move on to the next exit. Once you get into the third quadrant, the intercom guy will say this:
Expect further power outages ahead. Use your lights if necessary. The number of hostiles detected will increase. Stay vigilant.
It was during this section of the game where I noticed just how great the soundtrack was. It fits so perfectly with the game, and that's mainly because it was entirely custom made for the game. A lot of games on Roblox will use pre-existing music, either commercial free music or they'll just buy the license for the use of it in a game. Very rarely will a Roblox game actually make their own music, and it's because it's not really on the priority of things that need to be made for the game. The actual concept of the game, models, map design, and the programming are all giant endeavors in themselves. And of course, it's what the player will notice first. And many Roblox games get away with not having any music at all. In a horror game, at best you'll hear a chase music that plays when you're being attacked by the monster. I think the most you'll ever hear music in a Roblox game is in a simulator, but it's mainly white noise to keep you stimulated and not actually improve the experience. Most, if not all of the music I've been playing in the background has been from this game, and I don't really know much about music. Even so, you can tell just how well composed these songs are. A cool little detail is when you're near a pariah and it starts dampening your senses, the music will also start to sound muffled until you either kill the pariah or get away from it. The combat music invokes this feeling of you against all of the odds, but still making it through. It's fast-paced with the constant drumming, the electric guitar, the heavy reverb, and the synths can be heard, and it all makes you feel invincible. Zero, the composer for these songs, absolutely killed it. Fortunately, this won't be the last time we'll talk about their amazing work in the update. Back to the game. You do what you have to do and kill all of the revenants in the third quadrant, and move on to the fourth quadrant. Again, nothing noteworthy for the story here just yet, other than the difficulty being raised, and now we're about to find out what the heart really is. After beating the 4th quadrant and moving forward, you'll find yourself within a big room with a window view of the Skull Pulse laser drill building. You'll go down some stairs, through a security checkpoint, and out the doors towards your final destination. Not only can you see just how extensive the infection has spread, but just how enormous this whole operation was. As you're walking towards the doors, you'll hear a loud beating of what sounds like a rhythm of a heartbeat. That's because the heart of the coral infestation turns out to be a literal beating heart made out of the coral biomass. And of course the visuals just go so hard. It's this massive illuminating figure that towers over you, suspended in the air by its own doing, almost taunting you. Luckily the console to start destroying it is right in front of you, or so that's what you think. As it turns out, you need to activate 4 consoles in total, and after the first console, the coral is alerted to your presence. This whole section will spawn a plethora of revenants. The consoles are all located on higher levels of the quarry, and you'll have to reach them if you want to put an end to this madness. This part was so much fun, and yet anxiety inducing as well. That's mainly my fault because the moment the revenants started spawning, I instantly got myself cornered and the revenant just piled on, and I was afraid to jump off because I didn't know if there was fall damage, so I didn't risk it. I immediately started panicking and legitimately thought it was over. I just wasted all of that time making it this far just to die to a dead end. But fortunately, I was able to break through and make my way towards the second console, but ever since that moment, I was just perpetually on edge. The music that plays here is fantastic. Again, Zero absolutely cooked on this track. The track is very much energetic jazz, and it stands out so much from the rest of the track. At first it's bass with some percussion, and later it starts adding more instruments like the horn and the drums. Then at the very end it becomes more dramatic, with now the familiar composition you've been hearing is getting distorted as you're reaching the end. I love the thematic visual of you slowly reaching the height of the heart as you activate the consoles. When you get to the 4th console, you're staring directly at it on equal terms, showing that for all of its might, it can be defeated. A neat design choice is that on the way to the 4th console, you go through an extensive mineshaft, and even if it is a simple layout, I like that it reminds you of the fact that the game takes place in a quarry. Once all 4 consoles have been activated, authorization to activate the drill is granted, and all there's left to do is reach the main controls just a little bit further up. So, what you're supposed to do is continue moving forward until you reach the last lever to flick. But for some reason, at this point in time, I could not move forward. At first, I thought maybe I got caught on the small desk, or a zombie spawned right where I was walking. And in my head, when I was moving and my character stopped, I thought I hit an invisible wall. And so I turned back, caught myself in a corner, and got pushed outside of the map. With nothing else to do, I jumped off. and I was brought back alive. For a moment, I thought I was given a second chance, until it turned out I was stuck in this area because the door that's supposed to open wasn't opening, and so I had to do it all over again. This time I joined 2 other random people and was actually able to make it to the end. And so, the portal infection is stopped. I highly encourage you to play this game mode while it lasts, cause I don't know for sure if it's a limited time thing. Either way, it was fantastic. Thank you for watching. If you liked the video, maybe consider subscribing. Also, let me know if there's anything else you want me to talk about, maybe Pressure in general or another game. Either way, that's all I have to say. I'll see you in the next video.